Welcome to this explainer. Today we're taking a look at a moment in history that, well, it completely redefined what power and peace actually look like. We're talking about the Conquest of Makkah. So get comfortable, take a slow breath, and let's just dive right into the sheer magnitude of this event. We're going to unpack the deep wisdom and, honestly, the unbelievable mercy at the heart of this true story. I want you to picture this. It's pitch black. The heavy desert night has totally blanketed the ancient city of Makkah. It's quiet, right? People are asleep in their homes, completely unaware that a monumental shift is literally waiting right outside their walls. Out there in the dark, this absolutely awe-inspiring sight starts taking shape. 10,000 individual campfires begin glowing in the distance, piercing the blackness. It's a massive, silent presence, and it just radiates this profound, undeniable energy. Chapter 1. The Night of 10,000. So the heavy wooden gates of Makkah are locked tight against the cold. And as everyone inside is fast asleep, there's a silent army gathering out there. Nobody inside has any idea that by the time the sun comes up, the entire course of human history and really the spiritual landscape of the world is going to change forever. But to really get why this night is so huge, we've got to talk about the betrayal that actually set everything in motion. Chapter 2, A Broken Treaty. Okay, let's look at the timeline here. Before 630 AD, you had the Treaty of Hudaybiyah. This was a sacred agreement, an absolute guarantee of peace between the Muslims and the Quraysh of Mecca. It was a massive diplomatic win, meant to halt years of exhausting conflict. But then, in 630 AD, allied tribes of the Quraysh broke the pact. It was a fatal breach. And when that news finally made its way across the desert to Medina, well, that was the defining moment. The peace was broken. Prophet Muhammad, peace be upon him, decided that a march on Mecca was now inevitable. And that decision kicked off one of the most incredible mobilizations we've ever seen. Chapter 3. The March to Makkah. 10,000. Think about that number for a second. 10,000 devoted companions marching alongside the Prophet, peace be upon him. I mean, just try to grasp the scale of that response. This wasn't just some small raiding party. We're talking about a massive wave of humanity, totally united in purpose and faith, moving resolutely across the Arabian desert. And the way they executed this was a total masterclass in strategy. Yes, they marched with 10,000 people, presenting a formidable force. But here's the crazy part. They kept their movements an absolute secret. Why go through all that trouble to stay hidden? Because the goal wasn't a surprise attack. Actually, the secrecy was specifically designed to prevent bloodshed. The whole point was absolute, lasting peace, not starting a war. So when this huge force finally gets to the edge of Makkah, they light all those fires we talked about earlier, thousands of them. And the Quraysh, they look out from their walls, see this endless sea of flickering flames, and they are just absolutely paralyzed with awe. They instantly realize the insurmountable power sitting right at their doorstep. It was a brilliant psychological move that secured victory without a single sword ever needing to strike. And as the reality of that sinks in, the sun starts to rise on a totally new era. Chapter 4, A Bloodless Conquest. Now, historically speaking, the Quraysh were expecting the absolute worst. They were bracing for massive bloodshed and severe revenge for all those years they spent persecuting and exiling the Muslims. I mean, that's just what earthly conquerors did back then, right? But the Prophet's plan was guided by an entirely different kind of wisdom. He planned for a peaceful, bloodless entry, one that was driven by mercy, not vengeance. The next morning, the Muslims enter Makkah steadily from multiple directions. Just imagine the emotional weight of that exact moment. They are stepping foot back onto the very same streets they were violently driven out of, walking past the exact corners where they once faced unimaginable cruelty. And today, the city is completely under their control. The air must have been incredibly thick with anticipation and this heavy, tense silence. But what happens next defies literally everything you'd expect from ancient warfare. Chapter 5. The Ultimate Forgiveness. The people of Mecca are practically holding their breath, waiting to see what their conquerors are going to do. And Prophet Muhammad, peace be upon him, speaks these words that just echo through eternity. He says, "Today there is no blame on you. Go, you are all free." Just let the gravity of that sink in for a second. The very people who had starved them, tortured them, and exiled them for years were granted absolute, unconditional amnesty. Instantly. It's a breathtaking act that completely redefines what victory actually means. Chapter 6. The power of mercy. Makkah was conquered with practically zero bloodshed. The people who tormented the believers for a decade were entirely forgiven. And the profound lesson here? Sometimes the greatest victory isn't about defeating an enemy in the heat of battle. The ultimate victory, the truest display of strength, is having the absolute power to crush your enemy and choosing instead to forgive them entirely. Which leaves us with a pretty deep question. Put yourself in those shoes for a minute. If you had total, unchecked power to take revenge on the people who had truly wronged you, who had caused you pain and driven you from your home, could you actually find it in your heart to forgive them? It's a staggering testament to faith, immense mercy, and the undeniable power of letting go. Thank you so much for taking the time to reflect on this incredible piece of history with us today. It really is a timeless lesson in Allah's wisdom that just continues to resonate. If you found value in this explainer, be sure to hit that subscribe button so we can bring you more of these deep, cinematic dives into Islamic history. Until next time, keep seeking wisdom and take care.